No One Will Save You, starring Caitlin Denver as Bryn Adams, directed and written by Brian Duffield, whose movies include Underwater, which was okay for me, mostly because of the actual Lovecraftian implications that it has, and Love and Monsters, which I faintly remember, but also remember liking it.
Warning, this content contains extreme spoilers and beyond.
When I was young, and still somewhat as an adult, nothing would scare me more than aliens. Not like xenomorphs or anything like that, but the ones known as the Zetas. Movies like Communion and Fire in the Sky were terrifying to me, but I never shied away from watching them. So I intend to give myself a fright again here with No One Will Save You. I think it's because I believe it's highly possible that there's life other than us out there. Hopefully, if they're anything like depicted in films, they continue to overlook me. Now, this movie was extremely frustrating to watch. There is no dialogue. I think there's maybe 3, maybe 6 words in the entire movie. There is no story. There definitely ain't no plot. And the actions of the character, the main character, and the aliens are extremely vague. I don't know, man. Like, I've been thinking about this movie, and I've been trying to figure, like, is there something that I missed? Is there some philosophical thing there? Is there something that is supposed to be thought-provoking? I'm coming up with a blank. Like I said, there is no story. There is a lot of visual quotation marks, storytelling quotation mark, and it mostly revolves around this lady, Bryn Adams, who lives in a house and mostly set off alone, and no one in town likes her for reasons we'll find out later, and she just mostly stays in the house and sews and dances alone, drink wine, just live a normal life in the house. We see that her mom is dead because she goes to visit her grave, and we also see her writing to someone named Maud. We don't find out who Maud is until, well, if you watch the movie, you'll know that they were like childhood friends. But we don't really find out what is the deal with Maud that she writes to. But this movie shouldn't be about that. But it seems to be a central point in this movie for, like I said, unknown reasons. Man. One good thing I will say about this movie, the special effects, the design of the aliens were excellent. Top notch in my opinion. The design of the ships were simple but effective. Well, I use that word loosely because see what happens in this movie, like, we just go through Bryn's normal life until one day she goes to town and we see that no one likes her. We don't know why at this point. And eventually, when the aliens invade our house, they don't really do anything despite displaying telekinesis and, you know, they're super smart aliens. They flew billions and trillions of miles to get here to attempt to chase this woman all around town. Then we get the revelation that there are people in town that seem to be under the aliens' control, and they are under the aliens' control. There's no, like, nothing has much meaning or conclusion. Like, it's just all for nothing, seemingly. Like, I don't get it. Anyway, the actions of the main character, Bryn Adams, are just bafflingly silly. But the aliens, we don't know what their motivation was. And the only thing that I can gather from whatever their motivation was is like maybe it is something to do with Maud, or how Bryn felt about Maud. And we also see near the end of the movie what happened with Maud and why the town doesn't like her. When Bryn and Maud were young, and we see this, hold on, let me say this. The movie is like an hour and 33 minutes. So most of this movie is spent with these highly technologically advanced aliens from outer space, and also displays power of telekinesis, chase this lady around town, and there's some kind of parasite that they have, or something that they have given to control the other townsfolk, and it's in their throats. And when they finally do get a hold of Bryn, which should not have taken as long as it did, she just reaches in her own mouth and takes it out, which no one else can do. I don't know. And then once they get her finally on the ship, on one of the mini ships that seems to be all around town, if not the United States, they show us that I guess they're doing this all around town. And once they get her there, they look into her mind and show us what happened with Maud for some reason. They are highly interested in finding out for some reason. I don't know why. So once they find this out, which is when Maud and Bryn were young, they must have got into a fight as young kids do. But Bryn picked up a rock and killed Maud with it. I'm gonna say in the heat of a moment, which was unnecessary, but that's what happened. Which is why the town folks don't like her, especially, I'm assuming, Maud's mom and her dad, who is a police in this small town. And once they find this out, the aliens have a conversation in their language to each other, and then to something higher than them, and then they seem to just leave. And there's a scene in the movie where there's like a clone or something that looks like Bryn, and it stabs Bryn with a piece of wood, and Bryn cuts its throat with a box cutter, and then it dies, and she is distraught over this thing that she just seen for the first time. Like, I just don't really get this movie. Is just frustratingly not bad, but it's just why? For what? It drags on for a long time, not doing anything, with these aliens with all their power and technology being inefficient at chasing or catching this one person. And then once they see into this vision or the past, they seem to just let Bryn Adams go. And we see Bryn dancing as she does near the beginning of the movie, and the town folks are there, but they are still controlled by the aliens, who still are hanging about the planet. The end. I just don't know. Like I said, the aliens, they look great. There was I'm gonna say 3 to 4 different kinds, because at first I thought that the aliens themselves were being controlled by whatever the throat thing was that has a striking resemblance to something that stopped this world for a minute. Anyway, we had the simple gray Zeta alien, more normal, and they also didn't seem like they wanted to hurt Bryn, but at least try to communicate with her. But I guess she wasn't trying to hear that or whatever. So we have that kind, the normal looking alien, and then we have a smaller one with long arms, with sharp claws, who also seem to want to communicate with Bryn. And then we have this great in size alien with long arms and legs that have more than normal joints, but they're aliens. And they all seem to have different purposes, but they're all inefficient in their purposes, whatever they were. Because it is beyond plot armor, I think, to how or why they didn't get her throughout this movie. There should be no reason for that. No amount of things should have allowed her to escape their grasp for 133 minutes. This movie was definitely disappointing. I can't say that I want to rewatch it because maybe I missed something. Like, I just don't see the point. Cool visual effects is the only thing that this movie has going for it. There is no dialogue to critique those 3, maybe 6 words. There is no story to speak of. I'm at a loss. I do not recommend this movie unless you want to see some cool aliens for way too long. If you want to see better movies involving aliens, there's Dark Skies, which was great. I would dare even say The Fourth Kind. Any other one. Now, those movies' effects can't compare to this one's, but they got a lot more going for it than just effects. I'm Ron Stringer. Hound at me about something else some other time.
Mate, blah, got